Amina stood before the wise woman, her heart racing with a mixture of hope and fear. The wise woman was old, with silver hair that shimmered in the dim light of the hut. Her eyes were sharp and penetrating, and there was an undeniable presence about her. She had lived a long life and seen much, and Amina knew that this woman held the answers to the questions that had been tormenting her for so long. The wise woman gestured for Amina to sit by the fire, and as Amina lowered herself onto the ground, she felt a strange sense of comfort. The fire crackled softly, and the warmth seemed to seep into her bones, soothing her aching body and mind. "Tell me your story," the wise woman said, her voice calm and steady, like the sound of a river flowing gently in the distance. Amina took a deep breath and began to speak, her words tumbling out in a rush. She told the wise woman everything. About the pregnancy she never wanted, about the child she had thrown into the river, and about the curse that had followed her ever since. She spoke of her regret, her loneliness, and her yearning for a child that would never be hers. When she finished, Amina looked down at her hands, ashamed of what she had done. She was afraid that the wise woman would judge her, condemn her for her actions, but instead, the wise woman said nothing for a long time. She simply studied Amina with those piercing eyes, as if searching deep into her soul. Finally, the wise woman spoke, her voice softer now. "You have made a choice, Amina. And with that choice came consequences, as all choices do. But you must understand this. The child you threw into the river was not just a part of you. She was alive, a being with dreams, just like yours. You have taken something precious, something irreplaceable. But now, you must learn to carry the weight of that choice." Amina felt tears sting her eyes, but she held them back, her throat tight. "I don't know how to carry it," she whispered. The wise woman nodded. "No one is born knowing how to carry such heavy burdens. But we learn, and we heal. The first step is understanding what you have done, not as a punishment, but as a lesson. You must learn from your mistakes, and you must find a way to make peace with yourself." The wise woman's words hung in the air like a gentle breeze. For the first time since the day she had thrown her child into the river, Amina felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps there was a way to heal, a way to make things right. "You will not find peace by running from your past," the wise woman continued. "You must face it, embrace it, and allow it to shape who you become. The pain you carry is part of your journey, but it does not have to define you. The choice you made was not the end of your story, Amina. It is only a chapter in a much larger tale." Amina listened carefully, trying to absorb the wisdom in the wise woman's words. She had never thought of her actions in this way before. She had always seen them as a mistake, a terrible mistake that she could never undo. But the wise woman was showing her a different perspective, a perspective that was not about punishment, but about growth. "But how do I move forward?" Amina asked, her voice trembling. "How do I live with what I've done?" The wise woman smiled gently. "You must learn to forgive yourself, Amina. Forgiveness is not easy, but it is the key to freeing your heart. You cannot change the past, but you can shape your future. The first step is to release the guilt that has bound you. Only then can you truly begin to heal." Amina nodded slowly, the weight of the wise woman's words settling deep within her. She felt as though a door had been opened, a door to a future where she could begin again, where she could find peace. The next day, the wise woman guided Amina back to the river. The journey was quiet, each step taken with a sense of purpose. Amina had spent so many years avoiding this place, the site of her greatest regret, but now, with the wise woman by her side, she felt an odd sense of calm. As they approached the riverbank, Amina hesitated. The memories of the child she had lost flooded her mind, and for a moment, it felt as though the pain might swallow her whole. But the wise woman stood beside her, steady and unshaken. "Stand here," the wise woman instructed, gesturing to the edge of the river. "And face the water. Speak to it. Let the river hear your words. for it is not just a river. It is a living being, one that carries the stories of all who come before it. Amina took a deep breath and stepped forward. The river flowed gently before her, its waters shimmering in the sunlight. For a moment, she stood there in silence, unsure of what to say. But then, the words came to her. "River," she began, her voice trembling, "I am sorry. I am sorry for what I did. I took a life that was not mine to take. And now, I am left with this emptiness, this longing that will never be filled." The river's waters swirled gently, as though acknowledging her words. Amina felt the weight of her guilt begin to lift, if only for a moment. She closed her eyes, and in that moment, she felt a sense of connection to the river, as though it understood her sorrow. "I cannot undo what I have done," Amina continued, her voice gaining strength, "but I will try to learn. I will try to live in a way that honors the life I took. Please, forgive me." For a long moment, the river remained silent. Then, as if in answer, the waters seemed to calm, the ripples fading into a peaceful stillness. Amina felt a sense of peace wash over her, a sense that, perhaps, forgiveness was possible, both from the river and from herself. The river, as if responding to Amina's plea, whispered in the wind. The soft sound of water against the rocks filled the air, and Amina felt a deep sense of relief. It wasn't a grand, sweeping gesture, but it was enough. She had come to the river to seek forgiveness, and though it was not an immediate transformation, Amina knew in her heart that she had taken the first step toward healing. "You have spoken the truth," the wise woman said, her voice full of approval. "And the river has heard you. Forgiveness is not a gift that comes easily, but you have earned it. Now, you must carry this lesson with you, and live in a way that honors the life you lost." Amina nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. She felt lighter, as though a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. For the first time in many years, she felt a glimmer of hope, a hope that maybe, just maybe, she could find peace. Amina's journey did not end at the river. The wise woman had given her a path forward, but the real work of redemption lay ahead. Amina returned to her village, but she was not the same woman who had left. She carried with her the lessons she had learned, the importance of forgiveness, the value of life, and the understanding that every choice, no matter how small, has a lasting impact. She began to help others in the village, offering support to mothers and children, and giving back to the community that had once shunned her. Slowly, the villagers began to see the change in Amina. They saw her compassion, her understanding, and her willingness to make amends. Though they could never forget what had happened, they began to forgive her. The years passed, and Amina found herself at peace, though she still felt the quiet ache of the child she had lost. But now, she had a new purpose: to help others, to give love where she once had none to give. She never had children of her own, but she became a mother in many ways, nurturing the next generation with the lessons she had learned. The villagers began to respect her once again, not for what she had done in the past, but for who she had become. Amina's journey was long, but it was one of growth, healing, and redemption. And though the river had taken much from her, it had also given her a new understanding of life, of love, and of the power of forgiveness. As the years went by, Amina continued to help those in need, offering her wisdom and guidance to young mothers and others who were struggling with the weight of life's decisions. But even as she became a beacon of compassion and support, a deep sorrow lingered within her. The pain of her past, though softened by time and the lessons she had learned, never fully disappeared. One evening, as Amina sat by the river, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she allowed herself to think about the child she had lost. The river, once a symbol of her deepest regret, now felt different to her, more like a companion in her journey of healing. It had become a place where she could reflect, where she could silently speak to the child she had once discarded. "If I could go back," Amina whispered into the evening air, "I would never have thrown you away. I would have held you close, and I would have loved you as every mother should. But I cannot undo what I did. I can only move forward with what I have learned." The wind rustled the trees, and for a moment, Amina imagined she could hear the soft murmur of the river answering her, as if it understood her pain. She smiled gently, wiping away the tear that had escaped her eye. It was the first time in years that she had openly acknowledged her regret without feeling consumed by it. Amina had learned that regret, though painful, was not something to run from. It was a part of her story, one that she had to accept in order to move forward. It didn't define her. Instead, it had shaped her, guiding her toward a life of purpose, compassion, and understanding. Later that night, as Amina lay in her bed, she was visited by the spirit of the river once more. The familiar presence surrounded her, and she felt a sense of calm and peace that she hadn't known in years. "Amina," the spirit's voice whispered, as soft and soothing as the river's flow, "you have done well. You have learned the value of life, of love, and of motherhood in ways that few ever will. You have faced your past and embraced your mistakes with grace. But remember, the choices you made have consequences, and those consequences are still part of you." Amina sat up in bed, her heart racing. "I have tried to make amends," she said softly. "I have helped others, I have cared for children, and I have shared my story in hopes that others will learn from my mistakes. Is there more I must do?" The spirit's voice was gentle yet firm. "There is no one answer, Amina. You have already done much, but you must continue on your path. You must help others see that even in the darkest moments, they can choose to change. That is your gift, Amina. Your story, your lessons, can inspire others to find their way, just as you have found yours." Amina nodded slowly, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "I will continue to live with purpose and teach others the lessons I have learned." The spirit of the river spoke again, its voice more tender than ever before. "I will give you a gift, Amina. It will not be the gift of motherhood that you once desired, but it will be a gift nonetheless. You will never have a child of your own, but you will become a mother to many. You will nurture, guide, and protect those who need you most." Amina's heart swelled with emotion. She had longed for the joy of raising her own child, but she had come to realize that motherhood did not always come in the form she had expected. "I accept this gift," Amina said, her voice steady with conviction. "I will be a mother to those in need, to those who have no one to turn to." The spirit's presence seemed to surround her, and she felt a warmth fill her heart, a warmth that had once been missing, but now, thanks to her years of growth and understanding, was abundant. "You have already started on this path," the spirit said. "You have raised many children with love and care. This is your true calling, Amina. It is not in the blood you share, but in the love you give." Amina returned to her village with a renewed sense of purpose. She had spent so many years regretting her past, but now she understood that her true role in life was not to undo her mistakes but to make a difference in the lives of others. She began to take in orphan children, caring for them as if they were her own. She taught them the importance of love, of kindness, and of making good choices. Amina poured all of her wisdom and experience into them, hoping to spare them the heartache she had once known. Though Amina never had children of her own, she found that raising others gave her a sense of fulfillment she had never imagined. She grew to love each child she cared for, watching them grow, learn, and become strong, compassionate individuals. Her house was filled with laughter, with stories, with love. And though the river was still a part of her past, it no longer symbolized only her regret. It had become a place of reflection, where she could sit in peace, knowing that she had made the right choice to move forward and embrace her true calling.